Welcome to Ethical Point. Let's jump right in, shall we? Today, we're tackling a profound dilemma that every single aspiring civil servant is eventually going to face. We're zeroing in on a massive gap. I'm talking about the space between having incredibly good intentions and actually delivering tangible, real-world administrative results. Now, I know you might be a bit skeptical about purely philosophical theory. You want to know what actually works on the ground, right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to bridge that gap completely and see exactly how the loftiest of ideals absolutely must meet the hardest of realities.
So let's dive right into this by confronting a classic administrative dilemma. Why is it that so many well-intentioned, highly educated officers often fail to make a real impact? To anchor our whole discussion today, I want to bring up this incredibly powerful quote from Sardar Patel. And hey, fun fact, this actually appeared in the 2024 UPSC GS Paper 4 exam. Patel stated, "Faith is of no avail in the absence of strength. Faith and strength both are essential to accomplish any great work." This isn't just some historical soundbite, guys. It's literally the ultimate diagnostic tool for evaluating public service.
Section 1. Decoding Idealism versus Realism, the Architecture of Action.
To really understand Patel's doctrine, we've kind of got to strip away all that dense academic jargon. So let's use a simple building and engineering analogy to make this crystal clear. First up, we have idealism, or what Patel calls faith. Think of idealism as your architectural blueprint. It is the fundamental why of a civil servant's career. It provides the vision, the purpose, and that unwavering belief in constitutional values like justice and equality. It lays out the vision beautifully. But, ultimately, it's just a drawing on a piece of paper. It absolutely cannot shelter anyone from the rain all by itself.
And that brings us to the necessary counterweight, realism, or as Patel puts it, strength. If idealism is the blueprint, realism is the heavy engineering. It's the steel beams, the poured concrete, and the sweat equity. Realism represents your actual on-the-ground capability. It's the administrative ability, the moral courage, and the sheer perseverance required to translate that beautiful blueprint into a tangible, standing structure. Without this heavy engineering, absolutely nothing gets built.
But here's the thing. Modern culture often traps us in pure idealism. There's this pervasive, almost intoxicating idea that belief and positivity alone are enough, and it's often marketed as a total substitute for action. And that is precisely where Patel offers a stark, necessary warning. When realism is neglected, when we lack that heavy engineering we just talked about, good intentions without administrative strength lead straight to policy failure. Belief, no matter how strong, is simply not a substitute for execution.
Section 2. The Capability Matrix, Analyzing the Dual Engines of Governance. When we look at the core of ethical governance, we see this absolutely crucial intersection. On one side, we have conviction, our profound belief in justice, integrity, and equality. On the other side, we have capability, our practical competence to actually act. Notice how this framework doesn't ask you to choose between them. It actually demands that you fuse them together. Ethical governance requires both the commitment to those values and the capacity for action to operate simultaneously. It's like having dual engines on an airplane. You need both firing to stay in the air.
It's fascinating, right? Because belief isn't passive here at all. Having conviction requires active moral courage. We're talking about the sheer will to look a corrupt contractor right in the eye and refuse a bribe. It also demands immense emotional resilience to withstand the daily, lightning strike pressures of the job. This is the internal fortitude an officer desperately needs, just to survive the intense, high-stakes demands of the administration without losing their moral compass.
Exactly. And that's where administrative competence comes in to complete the picture. This is where the rubber meets the road. You need the rigorous ability to actually implement policies effectively, making sure funds reach the exact right accounts, organizing massive logistics, managing your personnel. And right alongside that, you need leadership strength to take the difficult, often incredibly unpopular decisions. You see, it's one thing to know what is right. It's an entirely different skill set to force a massive bureaucratic machine to actually execute it.
So the absolute core lesson here, whether you're writing your GS Paper 4 exam or actually sitting in the hot seat as an officer, is that merely believing in constitutional values of justice, equality, and integrity is completely meaningless unless it is supplemented by the pragmatism of leadership. Spot on, right? If you don't have the courage and the on-the-ground competence to enforce justice, your belief in it does absolutely nothing to help the vulnerable citizen standing right there in your office.
Section 3. Governance and Modern Realities, From Princely States to Climate Change.
Okay, let's move from abstract ethical theory over to hard historical facts. Here is the ultimate historical proof of this doctrine in action. Sardar Patel held an unwavering, idealistic faith in a united India. That was his blueprint. But to achieve it, he utilized immense political will and ruthless, pragmatic negotiation skills. That was his heavy engineering. And the result was the seamless integration of over 560 princely states. 560. He perfectly balanced his idealistic faith with incredible administrative realism.
Now, the challenges today might look a bit different, but the formula, it's exactly the same. We're looking at driving strong economic growth, battling the literal existential threat of climate change, and navigating incredibly complex geopolitical challenges. Look, you cannot solve climate change just by believing in a green planet or having a positive attitude. It just doesn't work that way. These massive national hurdles demand immense capacity, rigid discipline, and unrelenting execution strength.
We can even scale this philosophy right down to the daily habits of a UPSC aspirant. Your individual goals to become a top-tier administrator cannot just be wished into existence. Personal and professional success requires a strict checklist of actionable realities, hard work, relentless education, and building institutional resilience. You transform your vision into tangible results by sitting down every single day and doing the heavy lifting. Faith without this daily strength remains nothing but a dream.
Section 4. UPSC Mains Answer Strategy. Structuring the perfect 10-marker.
All right, let's shift to pure utility here. Here is a rapid-fire strategic breakdown for tackling this exact kind of quote-based question. Step 1. Start with standard layman's definitions. Define faith as the vision and strength as the execution. Step 2. Anchor it historically. Cite Patel's integration of the princely states as the ultimate, indisputable example of balancing both. Step 3. Bring it to the present by connecting the concept to modern public policy hurdles, like climate regulations. And Step 4. Bring it all home by concluding with the absolute necessity of balanced moral competence.
For a truly powerful conclusion to that 10-marker, you need a strong way forward. So remember this. Transformative achievements arise only when moral conviction is supported by courage, competence, and perseverance. Think about it. Strength without faith can become directionless or honestly even destructive, but faith without strength is paralyzed. Transformative public service only ever happens when conviction meets perseverance.
We've talked about blueprints and heavy engineering. We've looked at history and modern policy. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative question. Do you have the administrative steel to make your moral convictions a reality? Because the truth is, the country doesn't just need your good intentions. It desperately needs your competence. Thank you so much for joining us on this explainer. Keep building that capability, and we'll see you in the next explainer right here on Ethical Point.